Hey everybody, this is IRX17 and we are talking about game exhibit number 7. I just opened that up like I'm doing the podcast. Whatever. Whatever, man. I am melting right now inside of my house. And we're going to be talking about the first game, which is Metagalactic Blitz. Let's take a look. That is Metagalactic Blitz by Pixelvex. And first thing, it is a multiplayer. You can do online or co-op. And I believe there's single player as well if you want to play against AI. Correct me if I'm wrong, though. And you play, it's like hardcore dodgeball is essentially what it is. You play on opposite sides of an arena, throw the multiple balls at each other. However, it's cool because you get to have power-ups and smack each other when you're too close to the line. And each character, there's different characters, there's different kinds of strategies that you can employ. What do you? Am I missing something?
Dodgeball meets Super Smash Brothers, meets Pong, meets I Hate You, and then this is gonna be so much fun. Like this is gonna be a game that ends friendships. I see it now.
I think this is such a brilliant way for people to come up with ideas for games, is taking a sport or a game that already exists and giving it a twist. I love it. I think it's so much fun.
I like the variation too in some of the maps, like that one map where like you just saw not that long ago, where it's like hexagonal or whatever that is, and it kind of has like a neutral area in the middle, so you have to stay like on your side, but then there's like that part in the middle where it looks like either one from one of the teams can go through, and kind of it just adds a whole new depth to dodgeball. There was that.
It's really fun.
There was that indie game not that long ago. What was that called? It was like a German name for it. It was kind of ridiculous, but anyway, the point is that kind of added the more interesting mechanics to dodgeball, but this one makes it hardcore, I think.
It makes it hardcore.
Hardcore.
As if dodgeball wasn't hardcore enough.
Yeah, really. Actually, I know a lot of people hated dodgeball in school. I enjoyed it personally, but maybe that's because I was good.
I was a scrawny little kid, so everybody aimed for me.
Yeah, but you're hard to hit then.
Yeah, but I can't fight back because didn't have hands big enough to hold the balls.
Well, you know what they say about
go ahead
small
and
hands.
Quote that. So this game is...
That quote should be saved for some reason.
I'm not sure why. It is currently in early access, and it is available on Steam for $9.99. the soundtrack for it, which also is pretty chill. I like that. Is also available for $4.99. Let's see, they patched it on June 3rd. They patched it on June 29th, so they're still keeping up to date on it. 9 characters, each of which has an entirely different play style. 1 versus 1 online multiplayer. They've got online ranked matchmaking, 1 to 4 local multiplayer, all original soundtrack by 8-Bit Cypher.
Yeah, that's another reason that would make this game stand out, is that soundtrack just by itself. If you're into electronic music, that's some good shit right there.
It is Windows only, but yeah, no, definitely. It reminds me of sports and fun that I'm glad
care about usually.
that I don't play. If I can play my sports on video game form,
Right.
then I'm okay with it.
Rev's actually a huge Madden fan. He doesn't even know what I'm talking about. That's how wrong I am.
Madden's the one with the little pizza thing, right?
Yeah, and the home runs.
No, that's hockey.
Ball.
Gotcha.
Hockey's the one with home runs. I'm sure of that.
Well, something else you can be sure of is this next game, Captain Kalani. Captain Kalani by Poisus Games. How you pronounce it? I don't know.
I think that's what I'd pronounce it as.
All right, Poisus
Whether or
Games.
not that's correct, I don't know.
That's what we're going with. Correct us if the dev is in chat. Correct us if we're wrong, because this game, the devs who made this are
From Mexico.
From Mexico, so everything
Cool.
is originally in Spanish, which is why you see like the question marks at both ends of sentences. So it was translated to English. So a little bit a while ago, we talked about a game that made us feel like really comfortable and nostalgic. You want to talk about nostalgic, man?
Yeah, I mean, really.
This strikes me as like there's an old NES game called Low G Man.
Okay.
Low G for gravity.
Yeah.
Meets like Commander Keen.
Mm-hmm.
Or the original Duke Nukem.
Yeah.
Like it really seems to have that kind of feel to it. Yeah, this is triggering my I'm a kid and I'm on my 386.
Well, the Nintendo, well, technically the original Game Boy, but the Nintendo was like the first console I ever played on. So between this is like late Nintendo, early Super Nintendo, kind of gameplay, and I remember like games back in the day used to piss me off to no end. Like you think I raged, at those other games. You should see me when I was a kid. Like I probably had like anger issues because of games. Like I would accuse the game of cheating.
Well, they were back then.
I don't want to like punch the TV in the screen.
I don't think people would generally put up with the madness
The
and
game
the difficulty of games from back in the day. It actually was an issue was that they just re-released Crash Bandicoot, and nearly every review was saying that, oh, this game's way too hard.
Holy
that
God,
was like one of my first games.
I love Crash Bandicoot.
Oh yeah.
My roommate and I are kind of sometimes playing through it. We get about a level or so in before we get too ridiculously pissed off at it. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? It's simple. This doesn't seem to be quite that level of hard, but it's evocative of that. I think of that era.
I think they because like you said, it seems like games have toned it down. I don't know how I feel about that now that I'm thinking about it, but have toned down that difficulty curve.
Well, part of it is because again, we can go into some of the more economic aspects of it at a later time, but in real large part, it's because video games came out of the arcade system, where the more you died, the more quarters you put in, therefore the more money they made.
And let's be honest too, that the gamers back in the day were more hardcore than today. There's a lot more casual gamers today, I think.
No, I wouldn't say that they were more hardcore. I would say that we didn't have the options of good game design. Like,
but I'm saying it was more niche. Like games in general were more niche.
No, it was not. No, it was not.
Yes, it was.
Barely. No. I refuse to accept that as a valid argument. Because it's more widespread now, yes, in terms of sheer numbers of people, but it's still generally the same kind of people that are still playing, with a little bit of exception to that. But like when these style games were first coming out, nobody knew how to design like good game design, good level design. Everybody was experimenting with things and trying to figure out what the fuck was going on. How do you communicate your game to the player? How do you explain mechanics through experience? So it was more like the gold rush than anything else.
So I'm not going to argue this. We ain't got time for that shit.
We got more games to go through.
Yeah, we got more games to go through. I'm right though. And gotta
get that last word.
You know what else I'm right about? The fact that there's another game coming up called Moloch.
Zero.
So I think we can talk over this because there's not a whole lot of sound. Moloch. I don't know if there's actually a at the end of it, but Moloch
0.
is made by Only Pointus, same people that made the game from yesterday. You must be 18 or older to enter.
To Moloch.
Oh, well, now they're going to talk.
No, that was us, I think.
Nope.
Congratulations on your selection.
This is some dystopian stuff, and I love it. Like,
it's 1984 vibes, right? Like,
yeah,
corporation
and
is watching it.
It's so. I like it because it is really unsettling while really doing very little.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really always impressed and really interested in games that can create this sense of dread and kind of like fear while really not doing much.
I think part of it too is, especially nowadays, is that people's computers are so personal and private to them usually speaking. So when something like a corporation that you work for gets its hooks into it, it's always kind of like, ugh, like what if they see what I'm like talking to, see the people I'm talking to, things I'm saying, things I'm doing, whatever that may be. It's kind of, I think that adds to the whole uncomfortableness of the situation.
You know, it's there's a bit to that. Coming from the field that I do, systems administration and whatnot. You know, I operate under and I expect my my end users to operate under the expectation that their equipment that they have does not belong to them. That's the company pays for that. You know, you have a reasonable expectation of privacy. Like I'm not going to be monitoring you and being like, oh, ha, ha. But at the same time, you know, if there's something going on, then I'm not your friend in that situation. My job is to work for the company, you know, to take care of the assets that the company is paying for. Right. So I mean, I don't do anything on my computer that I do not want my my bosses to see or get in a report. You know, and that's backfire. So funny story. Never mind. I'll tell that story later.
I mean, the gameplay on this is kind of interesting.
It is a narrative game.
Yeah, it's you've been selected to interview. You're like a potential employee for the company Moloch, and because I haven't actually played this one yet. I played the other one, but not this one. And can you tell what the like actual gameplay is when you're on the computer? Because it looks like you're trying to keep people alive.
You know, I don't know. I'm not certain. I haven't played this one. I'm more attracted to the meta that it's going for.
They do a lot of meta, this particular company. I meant to say that earlier. They always seem to do a lot of meta within their games. You know, you're on a computer playing a game. You're on a computer watching porn while watching porn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In this case, you know, it's investigating like how you know, makes you balance your in-game ambitions against the health and safety of the workers that'll be underneath you if you get this position. And you know, it does come with the note, you know, in our current software saturated world and culture, it's easy to forget that all systems are created with a bias. You have huge companies like Uber that gamify their applications in order to make independent contractors work longer for little reward. Right. But because it's that gamification, the juiciness of the system that they've implemented, they manage to retain their workforce. And you know, you are the one that's being faced with this software that's designed to make you compliant to the company. And I really appreciate that kind of messaging, just because, you know, I'm big on the whole like stick it to the man, but at the same time, it's accurate, you know.
Well, I say that now we have become corporate drones. We must obey, as the chat is saying, and we're gonna move on and obey the next game. Segues, man. Next game is Luckless 7 by Deck Point Studio. So that's a game I'm pretty excited about. Luckless 7 by Deck Point Studio. It's a lot more. There's a lot more depth than what you see at first glance right here. At first, first glance you're like, oh, it's like a life simulator. You get to make choices, which is pretty cool. But then there's a whole other strategy card playing game involved, and on top of the choice based mechanic, and you can become an asshole. You can become a good person. You can concentrate on your card career after your road trip with your 6 other friends, which hence the Luckless 7, because maybe you're unlucky. I don't know. Who knows? It's an interesting world too. It's like on a little island, so it's a microcosm, but it's something that you can get pulled into.
Arithia.
Yeah. So how about you guys? What do you think?
I love games that let you kind of take a character and influence them, I guess. Not necessarily build a character up from scratch like you do in a lot of RPGs, but kind of get dropped into a character's pre-existing life and then steer them in a direction. I really like seeing how those stories unfold. This seems really cool.
Being able to insert your own personality into it with your choices is, we talked about immersion earlier today. That is something that immerses me, is when I can insert myself into the story, and that gives me that emotional connection because I am in the story then. So
right.
That's me. I'm pretty excited about this.
There is currently, I do want it to be made clear, there is a demo available that is on Steam as well as on their IndieDB page. Windows, Mac, and Linux versions are available, so give it a try. Keep in mind it's not released yet. It's one of those upcoming. Hopefully in the next, I guess in order to be true to what they have, it should be, in the next month or so. But I like the soundtrack. It's all original, which I definitely appreciate.
It's pretty chill.
Yeah, it seems to have a mellowing effect on the game. I don't know. Card games and I don't really get along very well because oftentimes they involve doing math, and I have problems with numbers. So like having that kind of mellower
game. It's not like a card deck, like jacks and kings and aces and deuces.
Really? Do you know what the rules are for the card game that you play in the game?
Is it okay? Well, you're just gonna make me feel stupid then. So fuck you. I don't even care anymore. Nope.
Oh,
I think
I am
I think
because if you're
Central
gonna- if you're
Booty
gonna give me
is the
shit about
dev in
it-
chat. Sorry, couldn't hear you. Central Booty is the dev in chat, I believe. Either that or they're just fan. But I'm just saying, since they yelled out "Luckless Seven" hype in caps. It is similar to blackjack, but with cards in your hand. So actually, I'm good at blackjack.
Yeah, I'm not because it involves counting quickly and numbers. So
Well, I'm not good at math either, but blackjack.
it. So my point is, the stress of the card game is being offset by the chill mellow of the soundtrack that we had there.
Well, you can be relaxed while you lose.
Exactly. So yeah, check that out. Deckpointstudio.com. They've got a demo and all sorts of fun stuff, tutorials, and go check them out.
All right, and this next one, I think yesterday you said you were looking forward to this, so I'll let you take it after the thing ends.
Yeah. Okay.
You're My Hero by Standoff Software. That took an unexpected turn. As Jacob said, You're My Hero by Standoff Software. What do you think?
Okay, so like right off the bat, I love the juxtaposition of who is the protagonist in here. I mean, normally when you think the expectation, I'm the hero, you immediately think, oh, it's some guy that's going to be saving the world. I like the narrowness in the scope, where it's literally she's trying to find her boyfriend who's been who's been kidnapped or captured by one of the many supervillains. I don't know how many we've got, but your job is to go and rescue your boyfriend, and I assume that the platforming that's present, the Roman soldier and whatnot, the sci-fi Mass Effect, the punching robots, whatnot. I assume that those are the sections in which you've narrowed it down as to which villain you're rescuing from.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I'm really excited to kind of see how this all plays, and I have a soft spot in my heart for games that manage to combine mechanics in a way that flows really well. One of my all-time favorite games in the last couple of years, I can't think of its name off the top of my head, but every single level was a change, sometimes multiple times in a level. You know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, I can't think of it either, but I know it's ringing a bell. I'm pretty sure I know what you're talking about. I mean, I always like when people. It doesn't always work, but I always like when people try to incorporate multiple genres into one,
Right.
to give it that variety, and it also includes like a larger audience too, because we discussed earlier, not everyone likes certain kinds of games, maybe because it kind of looks like a more of a point and click, or maybe like a narrative based game, and then all of a sudden turns into a brawler, or a hack and slash or something. Once you pick the hero that you're going to be, right?
Right.
So, which hero would you be out of the ones that you saw, by the way?
Me, but I would probably go with the Roman chick, but that's just because I've spent the last 10 years doing sword fighting as a hobby.
I think that one's my favorite too. I'm not gonna lie.
Go ahead.
I'm really like, quite honestly, at the beginning I was like, okay, so we've got a point and click adventure, not really standing out that much. Then it takes this turn that I'm really interested in finding out what's going on, like how this actually like comes together. I guess from a narrative standpoint, it's got my attention.
And Rev, you mentioned scope before, and one of the things that 3D making 3D games are hard.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm, depending on their resources and everything like that, I'm happy about the fact that if they're going to make it 3D, they have not made it like a huge game, because there's less risk of it being something not good, when you've narrowed it down to like certain scenes, like in the point and click part of the game, and then turning it into like a 2.5D side scrolling brawler. I mean, it's not always side scrolling, but you get what I'm saying. Like that,
Right.
It's not this like open world adventure where there's probably going to be a lot of bugs and all that sort of stuff. So, I'm happy about that.
I'm really looking forward to it. I believe, is it fully out yet? Yes, it is. The link down below, if you go down and click it, it'll take you to Itch.io, and then you can name your own price for it. So throw them a couple of bucks.